Riverside. Got some things to talk about, yeah. Well, the first days are the hardest days, don't you worry anymore. 'Cause when life looks like easy street.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the show. Our guest tonight is Town Councilor Craig Fishbein. Craig, glad to have you on the show. It's
nice
good to see you
Bob.
again. We're going to get caught up on this business with the Covanta Trash to Energy plant. There's a lot of meetings going on, and at the time of this taping, we're at the 20th. There's a meeting tonight where they're going to be voting on something. Do you mind filling us in on this?
It's on the agenda to be voted on. You know,
Okay.
One can't guarantee that it'll actually go forward, but that's what's anticipated. And basically, there was a contract that was put into place in, I think it was 2008,
Yes.
where the plant down on John Street is a burning plant. We take our refuse there, our waste, and they burn it. And the haulers bring the waste there, and then they pay a tipping fee to the town,
Yes.
to Covanta. And that's about $70 presently. And from that $70 a ton, that's correct. From that $70, the town of Wallingford gets a host fee of $11. That's basically the contract. There's a lot more, ins and outs, but that's basically the present contract. So what's before us is to reduce the tipping fee to about $65. That would be charged upon the haulers, and the host fee would be cut to $5 per ton. And that's generally the proposal that's before us. And at this point, I don't see an advantage to the taxpayers of Wallingford to agree to that. Now, this contract is supposed to be through 2020, so it has another 6 years presently, with 5 years of 2 5-year options after that. So we're currently in the contract phase, and Covanta has come to the town of Wallingford and said, will you renegotiate, as well as the 5 other towns that are part of this consortium.
Yes, you could name them. I believe it's Meriden, Cheshire, North Haven, Wallingford, Northford,
I believe that's it.
and that's it.
Yes.
So it's the 5 of us.
Yes.
Okay, well, people want to know, tell us what the disadvantage of this is. Now, currently, the money would be basically cut in half. It's from $11 to $5 a ton host fee, and they're going to turn it into a transfer station.
That is correct.
And so tell us a little bit about what this means, Craig. I mean, you were at the last meeting where they had the recent meeting that they had with Covanta and everything. Tell us what happens now.
Well, the impact to the taxpayers, to the revenue side of government, is approximately $1 million a year. So it'd be a decrease of $1 million a year. A significant amount of money.
In this town?
Yeah, and as far as the negatives, first of all, between a trash, a burning plant and a transfer station, just analyzing that portion of it, certainly when you burn trash in an area, and while it is regulated by EPA as well as DEEP, as far as emissions, there's got to be some sort of negative aspect to burning trash. So if they were to change it into what's known as a transfer station, which the trash just goes there, then it gets transferred somewhere else for disposal, that's perhaps a benefit to the town. But what we're hearing is that the truck traffic in the area would significantly increase. So you're going to have added truck emissions from that. So, that's basically a wash. So is there a benefit to the town? And we have no control over whether or not Covanta operates a burning plant or a transfer station. The contract does not require that they burn trash there, just that they accept trash.
Let's talk about the damage to the infrastructure. You will have the tonnage will be on the roads twice as much, because now it checks in and it doesn't check out. It's like a Roach Motel. The trash goes in and then it gets burned and then we bury the soot or we have the soot removed. Now the tonnage is going in and it's going to be moved around, but the tonnage is still there. The tonnage will still be on the roads. Am I correct with that?
Agreed, and that would have arguably an effect upon bridges and things like that.
Detrimental effect all around, all the roads.
Yeah.
We're not great right now. I mean, and they're redoing the bridge going over to John Street, right?
Yes.
So the people want to know, like, why wouldn't they just have to keep the money by, the tipping fee the same and give us the same amount of money if the infrastructure is going to suffer to a greater degree?
Well, I think the two things are mutually exclusive. I don't think that, I think it's going to be a transfer station.
Okay.
Period. Whether or not the town, through the town council, approves this agreement as presented, in my opinion, has no effect upon whether or not this will be a transfer station.
So it's not a bad thing, though. It's not really a bad thing because of the burning, like you said. The burning of the trash, the residual effect of the burning is a little more detrimental than the actual being a transfer station.
I don't know. I think, because as you point out, there's burning the trash, it's being disposed of,
Okay.
but there are emissions.
Yes.
On the other side, being a transfer station, there's emissions from the added trucks, as well as impact upon the infrastructure. So there are negatives on both sides, and they could just cancel each other out. Both could be of detrimental effect for different reasons at the same level. That is possible.
Okay, well, what I would like to say and ask you, and you have the answers, I'm up on this, I know, and the people really do want to know because they don't all go to the meetings and they don't see these, the meeting the other night, which was broadcast on television, by the way.
Yep.
What's the upside?
I see no upside to this agreement. Financially, we're taking a hit. The thing that a lot of people don't realize with this situation, all those other towns have municipal waste pickup. So those tipping fees in all those other towns are paid by taxpayer dollars.
Yes.
Here in Wallingford, the haulers pay the tipping fee. Okay? So what's going on in those other towns, my understanding is that the taxpayers are saying, you're paying too much for our waste removal. Okay? So the town of North Haven, for instance, is saying almost jealously, well, Wallingford's getting paid too much as a host fee, and we're paying too much tax dollars to have the tipping fee, therefore we want the whole thing reduced. So we're sort of coming at Wallingford from all sides,
Well, it's
from
our
the
sandbox,
municipalities as well as Covanta. Yes.
It's our sandbox.
Agreed. But because it is our sandbox, I think we have a level of control.
Yes, we do.
And-
And the ball's in our court. Why don't you go a little bit on that then? Now,
Well, we have a contract.
we have a contract.
And I think that we should hold to the contract as it currently exists, and we utilize the rest of that 6-year period of contract to explore perhaps a different avenue.
Yes.
And it's really not our exploring to do, it's our haulers, because we have private hauling.
Yes, we do.
So, a place like Tony's Trucking, that takes away waste.
My garbage man.
Mine too. Can look into where else they could perhaps take trash 6 years from now.
Yes.
There's been threats to close the plant to Wallingford Waste. That's not realistic. It's not going to happen. I'm sure our law
Not with us
department
around.
will be in court pretty quickly, looking for some injunctive relief on behalf of the taxpayers, because it's just not realistic. It's a veiled threat.
Yes.
So I don't see any advantage to approving this agreement.
Well, I'll tell you, a lot of people they're up in arms around it. What are the haulers saying to you? I mean, you've had some dialogue with the haulers, right?
Very little.
Very little.
Yes.
Now, is that like conflict of interest if you do that?
No, but I've reached out as a counselor. I think that's part of my due diligence. How would this affect you? What are your opinions on this? And I've really gotten no opinion. That once again, there is no advantage. The tipping fee is the tipping fee, because essentially the hauler charges us the tipping fee. You know, it's part of their cost of doing business.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
So, you know, if they're paying a slightly lower tipping fee, but their taxes are going up because our host fee is going down, then it's a wash
Yeah.
for our haulers that are located in our town.
Yeah. So they don't really care then. It's going to be either, you know, 5, 6 to one, half a dozen to the other to them.
I still haven't heard a reason why we should approve this contract from either side.
I really, you know, I don't see it. Now, somebody asked me at a coffee shop the other day about what about the steam we sell to the factory over there, SciTech?
Well, we
Now, do
don't-
we still sell the steam? We don't do that steam thing anymore?
No, I think Covanta was selling electricity when they burnt the trash.
To turn
They
it
were
to steam.
converting it into steam and/or electricity
Generator, yeah.
that could be made from the steam. That's their deal.
Uh,
They were the ones doing that. And my understanding is that that operation is not financially feasible for them anymore.
Okay.
Cost of electricity has gone down, and therefore their revenue from converting has decreased also.
Okay, well, somebody asked me if they don't do it because of Wallingford's low electric rate, could that be it?
I don't know.
No?
I can't answer that because
I'm just
we
bound
haven't
to
had
that.
the opportunity to speak to Covanta, the members of the council. One of the councilors had requested that Covanta come to a meeting so that we were able to have an exchange, and that didn't happen. So we merely hear from Covanta's perspective through the mayor's office that they don't see the current contract as being financially feasible and would like to renegotiate.
And we do have a mayor that's, to say the least, frugal, so I think he'll stay on top of this, and he wouldn't do anything that would be detrimental to our coffers. I mean,
Well, I think proposing and perhaps agreeing to a revised contract would be detrimental to our coffers.
it definitely would be,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
So, and the mayor is recommending that this revised agreement be adopted.
That doesn't seem right to me. I mean, you know, and a lot of people are thinking the same thing.
Well, I come to the table with an open mind, and I have yet to hear why I should be in favor of this.
Well, this is why I had you on, and I talked to you a couple of weeks ago, and I said, you know, let's just, we'll talk about this. Now, the meeting tonight, now this is being captured on the 20th of November, and there's a meeting tonight, and what's the agenda for at that meeting? You know, we're going to get this on, but just so the people know, you know, this is the meeting is tonight at the Town Hall and Council Chambers, and what's the agenda for tonight? Is there going to be public dialogue? Is there going to be, you know, are you going to have any bartering, or is there?
Well, it wouldn't be the time for bartering, because once again, I don't think Covanta is going to be at the table. I would expect it'll be Don Rowe from Program Planning.
Okay.
Doreen Zabak, who's part of the recycling program, and she's like a liaison in this process, and she works in Don's office also, presenting the contract or the revised contract once again as an action item, meaning discussion and possible vote. And anytime there's an item on the council agenda that has a possible vote, public participation, question, comment is invited and appropriate. So I would expect that the public will be able to speak on this item.
Yeah, she's really big on this recycling and everything, and if we were to have, you know, if it is going to be a transfer station, there would be, I guess, in-depth separating of the trash at that area. You don't know anything about that?
Well, no, because this is separate and apart from recycling. Recycling happens somewhere else.
Okay.
And this is actual waste that is to be disposed of. There is
Okay,
no
so
separation.
There's no more separation of anything at this point, at the transfer station? It's just
That
moved
is,
around?
yeah. Essentially, small trucks bring trash, are put in larger trucks to ship it out.
So heavier going out.
Is my
than coming in.
understanding,
A
yes.
bunch of little trucks coming in and half as many going out, big trucks.
Yes.
And, you know, and granted, that's the way things have to be nowadays. And with recycling, I know that the tonnage has been reduced and everything, and I think Covanta uses that with recycling, there's so much less of it, but we have 5 towns that are putting into this.
Yeah, and there's still a lot of trash that goes through that plant
Oh.
currently.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I can't remember the hundreds of thousands of tons, but there's a lot of trash.
Remember when the plant first opened up, the amount that was in it when it was at the low end, that 40-foot high piles of garbage, and it never disappeared, and they moved it.
Yeah.
They were moving it on a constant basis. I guess no one really gets down there to see it. You've seen the operation, haven't you?
I have never been inside.
Well,
I've seen it from outside.
it's a smell to behold.
Yeah.
It's very, very interesting. It's very,
Yes.
very strong. Well, it's interesting now that this is tonight, and we'll see. I would feel very strongly against. A lot of people are. I'm a taxpayer as well as everybody else. So what I would say was, if I were to vote on it, I would vote against it. I think that being the host town, that our infrastructure is going to be compromised greatly more because of the weight of the trucks leaving. There's less of them, but there's going to be
There's actually going to be more of them.
more of them.
Because right now, as you pointed out earlier on, you got trucks coming in, but not many trucks coming out, right?
Right.
So now you've got all that waste coming back out,
Out.
going elsewhere. So there is increased truck traffic.
And they're going to be heavy.
They are going to be
The
heavy.
ones that are leaving.
So you have every opportunity to go to the microphone tonight during the public portion of this meeting and make those comments known to the town councilors. I mean, that's one of the things that's missing from our meetings many times. We get up there, we go to vote on something, there's nobody in the audience. It's almost like people don't care.
Yeah.
So come to the meeting, say your
I'll be
piece.
going up there. I got my tie on.
Great.
Got my good tie on. They'll be able to see me there.
Yeah.
I think the only one I got Larry Russo is going to be on the show next month, and he's the last one. All you guys have been on at least once or twice. I started with Bobby Parisi, and it's nice to have everybody come on and give their opinion and everything. We saw Christine Mansfield as a hero now. Did you see?
Yes, I
a
saw
little
that.
thing saving somebody's life, I
Yep.
guess, on the road. These are good things. We see. I know you all on a personal basis and everything, and I really applaud the work that's done. I mean, people they see it one way, but it really is. You're an educated person. It's not like you're just doing this as a hobby. You know what I mean?
I care.
You do care,
Yeah.
and it's a good thing, and it's evident with your, and we do have to have that watchdog. I could still remember when Pat. I forgot what his last name. The little short guy who used to wear the hat bag over.
Oh,
his head.
Malillo.
Pat Malillo.
Yeah.
And he was our little watchdog. And if anything ever went on that he didn't like, we could have Wes Luby was fine, but Pat was comical to say the least. And he would get us thinking anyway. He would make us scratch our heads all the time, but he would make us think also.
Growing up, I grew up 500 feet from Pat's house, and I was very, very friendly with his son.
Yes.
And I didn't know, Dad, until years later. But yeah, he was a good guy.
It's really, we live in a kind of a small town where people do know each other, and this is a serious thing to a lot of people. It's
should
not
be.
something that anybody should take lightly, and I hope it's a big turnout tonight because of and I'm going to be up there, and I just hope a lot of people show up. And this isn't live, so we can't show it. It's not going to be on until after.
I
the
hope a
vote.
lot of people show up. It would be about time.
It would be about time, and you're right. Sometimes you see 6 people in the audience, and
The same 6 people.
the same 6 people. It's just, how you doing, Wes? I know all the other people. I know all the other people that are there.
Yeah.
So, but I'm going to be there tonight, and like you say, it starts at what time?
6:30.
Yeah, and it should be a lot. Let's change the subject just a little bit.
You're allowed.
The silver. Thank you. I appreciate that. Right, I'm allowed. That's excellent. On the Silver Museum on South Main Street, it just seems like there's this fence thing has been fence gate. I call it fence gate, and then we had gate. Now we have fence gate.
Mhm.
When is this fence ever going to really come up, or what's the story with that? Do you know anything about that?
I'm amazed that, a grant was given by the state of Connecticut to have the fence put in. It's $50,000.
Yeah.
The grant was a decade ago.
I'm
A
just saying.
decade ago.
It's so long.
Yeah, and I just, I could probably learn how to, make and install a fence in a decade,
Build a
probably,
foundry and make it.
yeah, quicker than this fence is getting installed. I don't know, it just so happens I drove by yesterday and I saw a little piece of it that has finally
Been erected.
been erected, yeah, and, I don't know if it's still up there, quite frankly. But I just, the use of taxpayer dollars just amazes me. We could have put that in the bank,
Yup.
and was that
What to it?
2004? And, the boom in the economy
Remember?
and, interest rates and all that stuff, and how much money we would have today.
Unbelievable. I mean, that, it just seems like, I know that I walked by the other day, I was doing some work down the street, and they did have, everything's ready to put that fence up. It's really, really ready to go up, so they very well may be doing it.
See, the problem is, though, that there's nobody from the state who's looking into, hey, we gave you this money, did you use it for what we gave it to you for? It's just, okay, here's a check, we'll go on to the next thing. Is that ridiculous or what?
It's not, it didn't seem like it was right to me, and when I asked questions, I really got nowhere, and I told you I was going to ask you that question, so it was, and I've asked it to other people that simply didn't know. And that's a lot of money. I mean, like you said, if 10 years ago, we had taken that money and put that in a secured account, an account, the interest that was generated from that money could have been used very, very handily. We could have used that money, and now, like you say, you saw a piece of the fence up. I've got to go see it, and I'm bringing my camera. Because I didn't, I still, seeing is believing.
It was a long day, so it could have been a mirage.
It could have
but-
been, were you wishful thinking maybe?
Yeah, no.
Well, I always tell, but somebody said, don't believe anything you hear and 50% of what you see. But I am going to go up there.
Unless it's on the internet.
I
yes.
want to see it. I will post it.
Yes.
But, the thing's going to get done and everything, and that's the last of that.
Well, hopefully it's going to get done.
Okay, so the Legion building's been sold.
The Legion
The
building
trees
has
have been
sold.
cut down. Have they been replanted yet?
No, not to my
They
not
waited
to my
too long,
knowledge.
and frost hit, so they're not going to plant them until spring now.
Yeah, that whole tree thing, when people come to the microphone at the town council meetings, unfortunately, it's only the chairman who can respond.
Yes.
And many times, I want to express my opinion about an issue, particularly the trees. I think the way the trees have been handled has been horrible.
Yeah.
There's been no planning. I think I was one of the first persons to say that the trees need to be trimmed or something because they're blocking the signs, and the response we got was that, the trees are going to go away. But there's no planning. I don't see why you can't just have pots, have the trees in pots
You were the one who said that.
and then move them.
I remember when you said that, and take them somewhere and throw them in a warehouse somewhere, or
Yeah.
outside behind something.
Yeah, well, at least, you're not having to dig up the sidewalk if you're going to get rid of them. You
Yeah.
can replant them in the pots and then bring the pots back out if they get too big.
Other towns do it. The
Exactly.
things are designed
Yeah.
to put a forklift underneath them, and they pick them up and they take them behind the places so they could shovel in the winter.
Or you have a maintenance plan, and you trim them.
Well, the guy that came to the meeting, I remember the town council meeting when you had Henry McCully there, and there was everybody was screaming and yelling. I made a vain attempt to tape the show, but the sound got screwed up. But one of the things that was said was, why don't they just hire an arborist to trim them?
You don't need an arborist.
Arborist or just...
Didn't you ever trim your trees
I know, I
at
trim,
home?
that's what I do.
Yeah.
And I'm not an arborist.
I mean, you don't need an arborist to trim,
those
these
trees. And it would have
Yeah.
been a lot easier. They can keep them small. When they're small, keep them small.
Well, you just keep them round.
That's all.
Keep the,
So I'm going like this.
Yeah.
That was the main thing the owner of the old Dublin was saying. If you just trimmed them a little bit, he wouldn't have minded.
The old Dublin is an unusual situation, and I think that, he just wanted the trees gone, or he even suggested the pots out in front of his place, too.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
maybe just spread out so they're not in front of his sign, once again. We have
Which
a
is a
beautiful...
great sign.
Yeah, and we have a
it's
beautiful downtown, and we have a facade program through Wallingford Center, Inc., where
Yep.
we redo the front of buildings, and you don't want to cover that up with a tree. It's the two being harmonious, working harmonious for the benefit of our downtown.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't seem like it's going on.
Now, with this new with this incentive housing program that's going to go on, Are they going to be, is there going to be a uniform frontage to the buildings in the downtown of Wallingford like they've done in some other towns?
No, that is not, well, there could be if, let's say, one developer came in and bought up a bunch of downtown
A
and
block,
then...
maybe, let's just say.
Yeah, then one developer might do that, but the way, because there's so many different property owners in the downtown area, you would think that they're going to be done piecemeal. So, more than likely, and it's not a requirement that they be, you know, the same sort of frontage. There are a lot of restrictions under the IHC
Yeah.
plan, and it all has to be approved, and but there's a whole list of what frontage could be. You know, can't be glass, can't be metal, you know, but can be brick, wood, you know, not contemporary, classical frontage.
But not uniform.
Not uniform. It doesn't
Well,
have
you
to
know,
be
like,
uniform.
I'm going to use Old Saybrook, for instance. They did a great job. And it almost looks like downtown Wallingford in a way. You know, we have that little stretch of the brick part of the sidewalk and this and that. And I'm just wondering, like, it would be a good idea. I mean, if you start where Rubens used to be and every single building is different, we do have some wonderful buildings down in the center of town. Now, if they could be all fixed up and we could make it a little more uniform, maybe not totally uniform. We have the yellow brick buildings, we have the red brick buildings, and the gray brick buildings. And I'll tell you one thing, we could really have a great downtown.
I agree, but I think one developer would have to come in and get a lot of the space. In Old Saybrook, I think I know the one you're talking about. I don't know if you're aware, but the state and the town paid for most of that.
Unbelievable.
So, you know, we're not in a position to do that.
No.
You know, I don't want to see our taxes that
This is
high.
all the thing. It's time for another show, it looks like, Craig.
I guess
Because
so.
we're almost out of time for today. So I got to thank you for being on. We got this thing out of the way, you know, and I'll have you on again, and we can just talk a little bit more about certain things. I'm going to start diving into this, you know, the train station's going to start to be built, and we're going to do this incentive housing zone and everything, and I'm going to stay on top of it. I've
Good.
had other counselors on, and we all get a voice, so we can start talking about that.
I'll see you at the
That's-
council meeting.
And I'll see you in a little while.
Yes,
Thank you
thank
very much, Craig. Well, that's it for today, everybody. Stay tuned for some more shows here on the Bobby O Show. And thanks to Jerry Sands, who's the man in the director's chair over there. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see ya.
If my words did glow with the gold of sunshine, and my tunes were played on the harp unstrung, would you hear my voice come through the music